What makes human being interesting is their ability to do intellectual discourse. Now that we're done learning about linear and interactive communication, it's now time for us to learn about transactional communication model. Now, when we say transactional communication model, I don't mean it like this. I mean it like this. Dean Berland proposed a transactional model of communication in 1970 for basic interpersonal communication, which articulates that sending and receiving of messages happen simultaneously between people, which is popularly known as Berland's transactional model of communication. The model has been further adapted and reformed by other theorists as general transactional model. The model shifted from the trend of linear model to dynamic and two-way communication model.
The transactional model, unlike the linear, recognizes that communication is a simultaneous process, therefore switched both terms sender and receiver to communicator.
It also adds environment, which embraces not only the physical location, but also personal experiences and cultural backgrounds. These changes can be seen in this model.
Another change you will notice in the transactional model is the overlap between each communicator. This recognizes the similarities between each communicator. The model displays how this transactional model becomes more difficult when the communicators have less in common.
In addition, the transactional model recognizes how the type of channel can affect meaning. For example, the words I love you have much different meaning when said through a billboard than through a voicemail.
In the linear model, noise is only an external noise. For example, there's a loud music while you are trying to converse. The transactional model says that there are two types of noise, the physiological noise and the psychological noise.
Overall, the transactional communication model realizes that it is not what we do to each other as senders and receivers, but it is what we do with each other as communicators.
To further understand this model, let me call on my Communication Rangers! Noise is the problem that arises in communication flow and disturbs the message flow. Rawr!
Jagged lines shows that the availability of cues can be unlimited and are denoted as V, 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 V.
Filters the realities engaged in communication. Here, the receiver and sender's personal filters may differ from the tradition, culture, content of message, etc.
Speech act refers to particular instance of communication in the model.
There are three advantages of Berland's transactional communication model. First, the model shows shared field experience of the sender and receiver. Second, transactional model talks about simultaneous message sending, noise, and feedback. And the third one, Berland's model is taken by critics as the most systematic model of communication.
The disadvantages of Berland's transactional model of communication is that first, it is very complex. Second, both the sender and the receiver must understand the code sent by the other, so they must each possess a similar code book.
And now, let us compare transactional communication model with linear communication model.
Hi there! I would like to discuss the importance of the transactional communication model in the political aspect and the political sector in the Philippines. As we all know, our country is a democratic one. It's full of constituents running from the president to the lower houses. What's the good thing about transactional communication model? It's that it's actually having a face-to-face or a vis-a-vis communication type. It's not linear wherein only the sender is giving the message. The sender and the receiver both encodes and decodes. By this, the political aspect, a leader can see the human gestures being shown by his follower. The laws that are being drafted in our constitution can actually be a type of communication also. Transactional communication makes it very contextual, wherein everyone knows what the context is, and that is to make the country better.
Same is true with organizational communication. To put it on a smaller scale, let's set an example here in UP Mindanao. Organizations such as Agipo or let's say Himati. Transactional model is visible in there because every member acts as a sender and a receiver to come up with one solid idea. They open up their arguments and at the end, they come up with a decision. In short, there is transactional communication happening in there.
In the educational sector, transactional communication is thoroughly observed between a teacher and a student in a classroom, where a teacher is face-to-face interacting with the students. Educational context is therefore applied and things like private and public use are observed. Filters are also present wherein people differ according to culture, tradition, and the content of the message.
Transactional communication model is evidently used in marketing sectors. In fact, that every proposals, business meetings, and alliance of different companies, they give their own notions to have an outcome of wise and intelligent decision.
In the medical field, transactional communication is observed through the exchange of patients and doctors or medical practitioners, wherein it's necessary to be able to convey and receive cues from patients to be able to do proper diagnosis.